Hey YouTube, this is Southern Prepper 1. Today I'm going to talk about a process that you can use if you are a leader, and this can be in the Minuteman series, or it could be you're a prepper, you're protecting your subdivision, you're protecting a retreat. So it has a lot of purposes, but basically this is for you as a leader to solve a problem. It's called the Troop Leading Procedures. It's basically to prepare your group to accomplish a mission or a task. And it takes a 8-step process, and the reason you use the eight steps and follow them is so you don't leave anything out. Receive the mission is the first one. Second is issue a warning order. Third is make a tentative plan. Fourth is start necessary movements. Fifth is recon. Sixth is complete the plan. 7 is issue the complete order. And 8 is supervise. The first one is receive the mission. If someone higher than you or above you gives you the mission, that's typically in the military. Your company, battalion gets a mission from higher. Now for us as preppers or Minutemen, we might have to make up the mission ourselves. We might say we have to accomplish something. Maybe we have to run in a raw situation. We have to run to another town or another area to get supplies, or we have to go help someone that's in trouble. So a lot of the times for us, it will be we make up our own missions for our own safety or to help others. Immediately when you either receive the mission or you make up the mission, immediately start thinking MET-T. What is MET-T? Try to memorize MET-T because it will be very helpful. Basically, what is the mission? Either you make it up or you get it. What do I need to do? What is known about the enemy? How will terrain and weather affect you? What troops are available for us? What people are available to help us do our mission? And how much time is available? The more time you have, the better planning, the better prepared you're going to be for that mission. Next is issue a warning order. So we're talking as you're a leader and you have a group of people with you. You need to tell them that something's coming down. So basically, this will give them enough time to begin preparing. So, because let's say you're going to need a lot of vehicles. Whoever's in charge of those vehicles need to have time to check them out, do whatever they can do to make sure they're in tip-top shape, get them fueled up. Or it might be you're needing some equipment that's not readily available and somebody has to find that equipment. Next is tell them the nature of the mission. Tell them as much as you know. This is a search and rescue mission. This is a supply run. This is to probe into an enemy area because Farmer Jones is being harassed. Or maybe it's more of the Minuteman militia series. Bad people are doing bad things to good people, and we're not going to put up with it. So tell them as much as you know about the mission and who is participating. Hopefully you'll know and you can give them the names. These people are participating. That way they can mentally prepare and physically prepare. It also include the time of the mission. We need to move out within 48 hours, or maybe you have to move out within 4 hours. Time and place for the operation order. The operation order is a complete order to tell everyone what is going on in this mission. I will do an individual video on the warning order because it's very important. A warning order, and then you have an operation order. Operation order is a very in-depth. The warning order is just this very quick, hey, we got a mission, I need you, and we're going to go do A, B, and C. Next is make a tentative plan. In the military, we use a 5-step process. It's very confusing, and if I probably explained it to you, I would fall asleep doing that, and you would probably also fall asleep. But basically, in a nutshell, it's mission. What is the intent? There's a lot of times you might have an intent, you have to go somewhere and do something, but there's like 5 ways you could do that. So make sure everybody knows the intent of it, because during travel or during the mission, things can fall apart and you have to totally change it, but the same intent is what you want to do. What do I have to do to accomplish the mission? Bottom line. And then you're going to look at, after mission, you're going to look at enemy. Who's out there? The size, the tactics, the equipment. Are these professional trained soldiers? Are they a mob of people? Or are they somewhat organized looters and rioters and marauders? Look at everything you you know about the enemy. Very important. Size them up. Next is terrain. And there's a little acronym called OCOCA. Probably good to memorize this because you can use it doing offensive, defensive, a lot of things. Basically, O stands for observation and fields of fire. Can you see the enemy? Can you fire on the enemy if it's in a defensive plan? Or maybe it's an offensive plan. You have to think backwards. You got to think what the enemy is going to do to you. Next is cover and concealment. That's the C. Can I travel under cover, under concealment? Also remember, you might have to travel trying to hide from aircraft, helicopters, drones. So maybe you have to go the long way around, but you're going to go through heavy woods. This will give you some cover and concealment. Next is obstacles. If you are in the defense, you need to know how to make them, how to tie them in, because they have a lot of purposes. Disrupt the enemy attack, turn them, fix them, block them. A lot of different things you need to do with an obstacle. If you are on the offensive, are there obstacles you're going to have to breach to get through? Next is key terrain. This is just a piece of terrain that gives one side a huge advantage. A hilltop, if you control a narrow pass in the mountains. Something in your area that if you have to control that key terrain to make sure that mission is successful. Next is avenues of approach. If it's in the offense, is there avenues of approach that you can use to get into your objective? In the defense, make sure you position your key weapons in these avenues of approach, because the enemy is probably going to come in these approach lanes to attack your position. So make sure you have people there. Make sure you have your best equipment there to defend these avenues of approach. They're very important. Next, you're going to look at troops available. Who do you have? Do you have somewhat trained Minutemen? Do you have people that have no real training? What are their capabilities? What are their equipment? So look at your troop available. Next is time available, probably a very important one. If you have 4 hours to plan an operation or do a mission compared to having 4 days, 4 days is going to give you a lot of time to do a lot of things, to actually rehearse your plan and to be thoroughly, everyone knows what the plan is. Next, start necessary movements. You might have to have people start moving towards the objective, especially scouts. Maybe you have to pre-position some people further into. These people might need to start moving right away, so they're in position, especially if you don't have a lot of vehicles, or you have to insert by walking in. So start necessary movements. Don't forget to send those guys out, because if you send everybody out together and somebody has to be there hours before, it's going to cause a lot of problems for you. Number 5 is recon. The best recon you can do is leader recon. The person making the plan actually goes out there, puts his eyes on the objective, puts his eyes on the route, and he can make a definite better plan. A lot of times you can't do that on an offensive, but you can use your scouts. So if you have scouts, or if you have anybody out there that's gathered intel, this is the time to use that intel. Time to have scouts out there so they can report any changes on the objective. Very important. You might think there's 5 bad guys at the objective, and last night 20 guys came in, so now there's 25 and you don't know that. So having those scouts out there, having that intel will be very important on the mission. If you can't do a leader or a scout recon, do a map recon. If you know you have to travel 6 or 7 miles, get your topos out and look at your topos and plan your route. Look for possible ambush sites that the bad guy can ambush you. Look for sites that you might eventually be able to use as an ambush point to ambush the bad guy. So a map recon. Number 6 is complete the plan. Take all your recon reports, all your new information. You have to sit down and finally make this finished plan, because you're going to give this to your people. Next is issue the complete order. And this is called an operation order, and this will be an individual video. This is basically you're going to call in your key personnel. Now, if you have a small group, you can call them all. In the military, it's only key people. And then the key people, the subordinate leaders, will go back to their individual teams, squads, platoons, and they will brief them. But if you've got a small group, everyone can attend. while you're at this order and you're giving the information, use terrain models or sketches. The more you can show, the more information you can give the people that are actually going to be doing the mission, the better. If you're in a defensive and you're doing a defensive mission, walk the grounds. Take your subordinate leaders around, or take your personnel around and show them, all right, we're going to set up here, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Very important, being on the ground, but most of the time you can only do that in the defense. And during this time, make sure everyone understands the mission. All your subordinate leaders, make sure they know, so when they go back to talk to other people, they're giving correct information. And make sure every person knows their individual mission. Some people will have critical. Some people might be clearing a fence line or an obstacle. Make sure they know their mission. Some people might be entering and clearing a bunch of buildings. Make sure they know what they need to accomplish. Individual missions. Next is supervise. And under supervise is rehearsals and inspections. These are very important. Let's say you have 4 days to plan a mission. You're going to rehearse that. If you're going to be traveling by vehicles, practice traveling by vehicles. Practice how you're going to load. Practice who's going to go in what area of the vehicles. Practice why you might get ambushed. So make sure everybody knows, if we take contact in an ambush, we're going to do A, B, and C. Rehearsals are very important. If you're going to have to cut a bunch of fencing, find some fencing in your area and have them practice cutting it, so everything is, they know what they're doing. Also during these rehearsals, rehearse during the day, but if you're going to do a night mission and you have multiple days to plan this out and rehearse, do a rehearsal in the dark. It will change things. Don't just practice during the day, because when darkness comes, it's going to be totally different. It might be a lot slower for you, so you need to know that. And inspections. This is going to cover a lot of it. You're going to be inspecting everything. Also, during this time, make sure everyone knows their actions on the objective. As I said before, assaulting buildings, bunkers, breaching obstacles, vehicle operations, this is all rehearsal. If you can rehearse the total mission and try to use similar terrain, similar buildings, it's going to make it much easier when you actually hit your objective. And if you have any special mission necessary equipment, make sure you practice with that. Don't show up at the party expecting people to know how to use certain types of equipment if they've never seen it before. So make sure this is very important. Weapons and ammo on the inspection. Check everything. Uniforms and equipment. While you're doing this, and this does not have to be the head honcho. This can be your subordinate leaders. If you have too many people, ask the participants questions. At this time, you're asking them, what's the mission? What is your objective in the mission? Next is communication. Make sure you have a good communication plan. Make sure everybody knows your primary and secondary radio frequencies. Make sure everyone knows if your radios are compromised or someone actually gets a hold of one of your radios, what your plan is. Look for food and water. Make sure everyone has adequate food and water if you're going to be out. And check your camouflage. Make sure everything is going to look right at your actual engagement area. It might be different. You might be right now in the city, and your engagement area is deep forest. So make sure you have the camouflage equipment necessary for your area you're taking your mission to. This is a very quick how to prepare your group for a task or a mission, and this is very important. What we talked to our group about is, this is the difference between being a bunch of guys and gals with guns and being a well-organized machine. Is having some organizational skills, having some ability to plan and to be more effective. And if you're more effective, you're definitely going to save lives. Thanks for watching.